Hey there, I'm Kim, and this is the Executive Assistant Playbook. Today we are beginning our skills sessions. So over the next several weeks, we are going to be diving a little bit deeper into some of the most important, impactful skills that you can have as an executive assistant in order to be stellar in your role. So whether you're already in this role or you want to get into this role, then these sessions are for you. So you likely already have a lot of these skills if this is a career that you've identified that you're interested in or you want to grow in. But we're going to go in and really kind of take these apart so that you can help identify where you might need to grow in some areas in order to make this work for you and become a superstar in the office. So let's get started. This week, we are talking about adaptability, people skills, and organization. So we'll dive first into adaptability and then we'll move on to the others. And I will also share examples for each one just to help bring these points home. Okay? So adaptability refers to the ability to adjust or modify your behavior, attitude, or approach in response to changing circumstances, new information, or unexpected situations. So it's the capacity to be flexible and resilient in the face of uncertainty, ambiguity, and adversity. All of those things are the name of the game in the EA world. So adaptability is so important just to be able to do your job day to day, but also this is a skill that you really want to hone in on and grow, because this is one of the ones that is going to really set you apart from other people in your field. So adaptability often involves a willingness to learn, experiment, take risks, as well as a capacity to be open-minded, curious, and creative. So it requires the ability to identify patterns, anticipate trends, and make informed decisions based on available information. So adaptable individuals are able to typically handle setbacks and failures with grace and persistence, and they are able to bounce back quickly from difficult situations. So that's not to say that you don't get frustrated in those situations, but it is the ability to take your moment, breathe, and then move forward with persistence and grace. So this is an important skill in both personal and professional contexts, as it enables individuals to navigate changing environments and succeed in a rapidly evolving world, which it happens all the time. If you support an executive or you want to, let me tell you, things change all the time, every day. Like I have said before, I can set a plan for the day and have to change it by 10:30. So being adaptable is huge. So, if you are adaptable, then you're better able to manage stress. You can maintain your focus and build stronger relationships with others. And you're also more likely to be an effective leader, problem solver, and innovator. So that is really great for career growth. So here is a really great example of this. When someone is asked to take on a new responsibility at work that requires a skill set that they don't currently possess, initially they may feel overwhelmed or uncertain about their ability to fulfill that role. However, they are willing to learn and seek out resources to help them develop the necessary skills that they need. They may attend training sessions, research best practices, or seek guidance from colleagues who have experience in that area. Over time, they're going to become proficient in that new skill and are going to be able to perform their role with confidence. So in this scenario, the individual demonstrates adaptability by being flexible and open to change, willing to learn and grow, and able to adjust their approach in response to new challenges. Moving on to people skills. So people skills is going to be a really great area for you to grow in constantly. There's a lot of layers to it, which we'll get into. Think about it as a multi-layered cake, and they all work together to make something very delicious and yummy. It is no surprise that as an executive assistant, you will be dealing with all kinds of people, both internally and externally, because you as the EA, are going to be a gatekeeper to your executive. And so hopefully you will be the first person that they come to before they get to the executive. So there's a lot of things that go into this particular skill set that are really going to help you navigate all the different types of people and scenarios that you'll find yourself in. And whether you're an extrovert or an introvert, it doesn't matter. You can be either of those and still have a stellar people skill set. So, these may also be known as interpersonal skills or soft skills. If you see that in a job description, that's what they mean. And it really just refers to a set of abilities that will enable you to interact effectively with others in various social and professional contexts. So, people skills involve the capacity to communicate clearly and respectfully, to build relationships, and to work collaboratively to achieve common goals. So, like I said, this is a multi-layer cake, so let's get into the layers. First layer, communication. It is the ability to express oneself clearly and listen actively to others. The key part of that being able to listen actively to others. I think we get wrong a lot of the times, just as human beings, that communication is not just about being able to talk pretty or to write pretty, but it is also about being able to really listen what other people are saying and building that into your response versus just wanting to get your point of view across. The next layer, empathy. So this is the capacity to understand and share the feelings and perspectives of others. I heard the other day, a great example of this is removing our agenda and judgment from a situation. And I think that is a fantastic way to think of it. In our culture, I think it's popular to classify yourself as an empath or not. And so it might seem like a really hard thing to work on empathy if it doesn't come natural to you, but I don't think that it has to be natural to you in order to succeed in this area. Again, it's just about removing your agenda and judgment from a situation when someone comes to you, and they will come to you a lot. I often like to think of myself as the office therapist, whether I'm in the mood for it or not. People just come to me and they tell me their troubles, and then I try to help them where I can. And that really helps me build that skill set, working with them through the things that they're struggling with. So, next layer, teamwork. I like to say teamwork makes the dream work. I think that's kind of an old saying, but I still use it. And, it's a no-brainer. It's just the ability to work collaboratively with others to achieve shared objectives. The next layer, leadership. The ability to inspire, motivate, and guide others towards a common goal is a great way to define that. So you might be thinking, well, my executive is the leader. What do you mean I have to have good leadership skills? Well, your executive might be the captain of the ship, but you are definitely helping with the navigation and keeping the ship on course. So people will often look to you as a mini version of that executive, and so you'll want to always be on top of their priorities, but also understand the motivations that they have behind those priorities in order to help them help the team stay on track and keep the ship on course. The next layer, conflict resolution. So that's just the capacity to identify and address disagreements or problems in a constructive and respectful manner. So people might come to you to be the tiebreaker, to help them understand, what is the best way around this, where can we meet in the middle. And so having that conflict resolution skill set is going to be great, but also when people come to you and maybe they're not being the most nice or respectful they can be, maybe they're upset because they didn't get time with the executive, you're going to have to know how to diffuse that situation. So, super important skill. Active listening, we talked about this a little bit with the communication, but it's really the ability to give your full attention to what others are saying and to ask questions to clarify your understanding. That's a huge part of that as well. Flexibility, the ability to adapt one's approach and behavior to meet the needs of different situations and individuals. We've already kind of addressed that in adaptability, but it goes within the people skills skill set as well. Positive attitude, the ability to maintain a positive and professional attitude, even in challenging situations. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be Mary Sunshine all the time. That is not everyone's calling in life, and there are plenty of days that if you catch me before I have caffeine, you're not going to get Mary Sunshine from me. But it's still being able to stay positive that is going to get you very far. And it boils down to just being respectful and looking on the bright side. So the next layer is cultural awareness. And so really that's just the capacity to understand and respect diverse cultures, beliefs, and backgrounds. So the keywords here being to understand and to respect. It does not mean that you have to believe the same way. It does not mean that you have to come from that culture in order to try to understand them. It just means that when you see differences in other people, they are not a barrier to you. They are not a barrier to you in any sort of way in helping them and keeping the team working together. Okay? So that makes up our very delicious, wonderful people skills cake. So I will tell you that effective people skills, they're important in every aspect of your life, and they're going to enable you to build strong relationships, work collaboratively with others, and achieve goals collectively. So strong people skills can also lead to better communication, increased trust, which is great, and improved overall performance in both personal and professional settings. So, okay, for an example, when a manager is able to communicate effectively with their team members, providing clear and constructive feedback and expressing appreciation for their contributions, that's a great example of people skills. So the manager is fostering a positive and supportive work environment where team members feel valued and respected. So another example of people skills is when, let's just say you were talking to a client that has a relationship with your executive and you can't get them with the executive, and so you were being that mini executive and you were stepping in to just help listen and relay that message. So what this looks like, it's, when you are also able to establish a rapport with the client, and it's not just about your executive's relationship with them, but also your relationship with them. So this involves being friendly, courteous, and attentive to the client's concerns and questions, and providing the information and guidance that you can in a clear and helpful manner. And so then also it might be appropriate for you to follow up with the client after you speak with them, especially in a scenario when they're trying to get in front of your executive and you say, well, I have to work on that for you. It's just following up and saying, hey, listen, so-and-so knows we are working very hard to get you the time that you need with them. I just wanted to follow up and stay in touch with you so that you know that we are working on this for you. And then once that issue is settled, hopefully it is settled, that will just ensure their satisfaction, and also they will know that they can come to you for help. That not only is your executive a trusted person to work with, but that you are a trusted person to work with as well. And that really builds a great relationship with a client. So those are just a couple of examples that you can use to help you understand people skills on a different level. Remember, people skills are made up of a lot of different smaller skills, and it is a delicious layer cake, whatever flavor you want it to be. So the last one we'll cover today is organization. And I do not mean that just in a Marie Kondo way. There's plenty of ways to be organized without chucking everything in your closet if it doesn't spark joy. So, organization as a skill refers to the ability to arrange, manage, and prioritize tasks and activities in an effective and efficient manner. So, that would involve developing systems and processes to streamline workflows, manage time and resources, and ensure that goals are met in a timely and organized manner. So, managing your executives' priorities takes a lot of organizational skill because there are often meetings that are involved, or places that they need to be, or tasks that need to be done by them or by the team. And you will be responsible for following up and making sure everyone stays on task in order to keep that ship on course. So let's talk about some key components of organization. Time management is one of them, and which is just the ability to manage your time effectively, prioritize tasks, and allocate resources in a way that maximizes productivity. Planning is just the ability to develop and implement plans that enable individuals or organizations to achieve their objectives. Attention to detail. This one is always huge in job descriptions. I see this all the time. Attention to detail is something that you definitely want to work on in terms of your organizational skill set. So it might sound like a no-brainer, but I'm going to just talk about it anyway. So attention to detail is the capacity to pay close attention to details, identify potential problems, and take corrective action when necessary. So as the gatekeeper, you are not just protecting your executive, so you're not just on defense, you are on offense as well. So paying attention to little things that pop up, you might hear it in a conversation, you might see it in an email somewhere, you might even just anticipate that it could be an issue. Paying attention to all of those little details can really save your executive and your team a lot of time and frustration. And this one particular one will make you a super stellar coworker. Next up, goal setting, which is just the ability to set realistic and achievable goals and develop strategies to meet them. So next up, multitasking. So that's just the capacity to manage multiple tasks and projects simultaneously while maintaining focus and attention to detail. I often say that sometimes this job feels like I'm spinning multiple plates in the air and those plates are on fire. And so that can feel stressful, but just the ability to keep everything going and rolling and keeping everyone on task and making sure everything gets done, that's going to be a super important part of your job. Delegation. So that's the ability to assign tasks and responsibilities to others in a way that maximizes efficiency and productivity. So a way that this comes in is when your executive has a lot of priorities, but they don't have a lot of time. So what you'll want to do is when you're looking at that priority list with your executive and it just feels overwhelming and like things are just not going to get done on time, ask them who on their team, even if it's you, can take that off of their plate so that they can focus on their most important priorities. Next up, prioritization. So going back to that priority list. So this is just the capacity to organize tasks and activities based on their relative importance, urgency, and impact on overall goals. So if your executive is struggling in this area, you can think about it in terms of big wins, little wins, hard wins, easy wins, and what the team has the capacity for, what your executive has the capacity for. Because sometimes an easy little win, it might not get you very far down the field, but it could boost your energy enough to push harder, to do something a little bit more difficult. And then lastly, organizational skills can involve keeping physical and digital files in a nice orderly manner. So it's not just about knowing your alphabet and knowing how to file, but you as an executive assistant might be looked upon as the repository for information for your entire team. So being able to keep all of this information organized so it's easy to find and does not waste your time or someone else's time in finding it is gonna be a really good thing for you to do. So, all of these together are just really important, not only in your professional life, but in your personal life as well. And it just enables you to manage your time and your resources effectively, prioritize tasks, achieve your goals, things like that. So these strong organizational skills can lead to increased productivity, reduced stress, yes please, give me less stress, and improved overall performance in both personal and professional settings. So let's talk about an example of good organizational skills in the workplace. As I've mentioned before, I have my project management certificate. I got that several years ago because I began taking on projects that needed attention that people couldn't do, and it was stuff that I was interested in. So as a project manager, I have to be very organized. So I am often responsible for overseeing larger projects with multiple team members that have other day jobs, and there's a lot of tasks that are involved with that. So I have to be able to manage not only my time effectively, but my team's time effectively. And I have to stay on top of the tasks and prioritize them with the most important and the most impactful. And I have to allocate the appropriate resources in a way that can maximize productivity and ensure that the project is completed on time and within budget. So to do this, I often will create a detailed project plan. I have a few different favorite tools just depending on what I'm doing. So I will develop a project plan that outlines the tasks and the milestones that have to be completed and the timelines and resources required to achieve them. So I've used Monday.com, Asana, those are just a few great ones. There's a lot of great ones out there, but that just keeps me organized in my project plan because I always know what's next and who is responsible for what and when and within that I will assign tasks and responsibilities. And that is just based on the team members' skills and also their availability, and it keeps everyone accountable and helps me to communicate clear expectations for deadlines and deliverables. And also part of that is holding regular check-ins and status meetings. And so that can involve just the team or it can involve the stakeholders as well. And those meetings with stakeholders are serious business. You want to know what's going on and you want to have the information available for all kinds of random questions because they will come your way. And those meetings really just help ensure, on top of having that project management board, they just ensure that everyone is staying on task and that if they're running into any problems, that just gives them the forum to talk about them. And then, within that, there are inherently risks and issues that have to be managed. And so it's my job to not only identify those potential risks and issues on the front end that could impact the project, but also develop strategies to mitigate or address them as they are happening within that project. And so by doing all of this, that just helps me effectively manage the project and ensure that it's completed on time and within budget, while also maintaining good communication with the team and the stakeholders. So I hope that this is super helpful for you as you continue to grow in your career and work on the things that are going to make you a stellar, standout, rockstar employee like I know that you already are. So thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe as I continue to share more of the top skills that you need in order to be an incredible executive assistant. And I'll see you here next time. Bye.